Hey everybody, Tony D with your Hollywoke hot take. Got a couple of things to talk about. First up, if you get a chance, check out this video by Tim Pool. Liberals are waking up. Bill Maher host panel roasting far left cancel culture. Now, meanwhile, over at Deadline, they cover it a different way. Now, Tim Pool's video, he talks about how Bill Maher and his panel, who included Barry Weiss, the woman who left the New York Times, and before she left, she wrote this scathing letter about how, the New York Times is just rife with social justice warriors and woke tards who, attack people and call you alt-right if you're not to the left of Fidel Castro. This is something we made fun of in Wokistan, a novel. It's all stuff we were, predicting, and it's not that hard to predict once you see it, once you see the ideology. So Bill Maher had this panel where they talked about cancel culture and how toxic it was, but then you look at Deadline's coverage of it, and it's Bill Maher, I told you so, mode over Donald Trump's election delay idea. So Deadline discussed nothing about cancel culture. It was all about how Donald Trump suggested delaying the election and how Maher reacted to that, which of course Maher reacted badly. But that's Hollywood. That's Hollywoke. And also in Deadline, I wanted to talk about Terry Crews. Now, this woman is Gabrielle Union. I don't really know her all that much, but apparently she was on America's Got Talent with Terry Crews. And she sort of blasted him because she had I don't know if it was a lawsuit or a complaint against NBC, right? And she blasts Terry basically because Terry's not supporting her. But like she doesn't give a reason why Terry has to support her. You know what I mean? Like, and then there's this other story, like Gabrielle Union addresses racism in entertainment in the industry. So she claims there was recent discrimination complaint against NBC Universal, America's Got Talent. Union, who alleges she was fired as a judge from AGT because she had complained of racism and other issues, told Noah that the people at the top have to be held accountable. Now that was June 17th. But here it is, August 1st, and she seems to be mad at Terry Crews, her fellow co-host, speaking on Spotify podcast. The Jameel Hill is Unbothered podcast. Union was asked about Crews and his recent criticisms of the Black Lives Matter movement. Now, what does that have to do with your complaint against NBC for your extremely lucrative position? Black Lives Matter is supposed to be about police brutality. It wasn't like you were beaten up by the cops when NBC fired you, right? She says in the article, or is quoted as saying, people hit me up all day long and are like, what's happening? The only thing I know for sure is that Terry Crews gets 3 checks from NBC. So I don't know if being worried about job stability, which, listen, we all know if you speak up about racism and white supremacy, you absolutely can be shown the door, Union said. I don't know if that's the motivation. It sounds to me like you're jealous that he gets 3 checks and you don't. Terry Crews is a movie star. He's on a hit show called Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He was in a hit commercial, the Old Spice commercial, and he's been around a while. I don't know who the hell you are, Gabrielle Union. I guess you were on AGT. I don't watch that show. Were you in movies? I don't think so. So why does Terry Crews have to stick his neck out? And by the way, he's apologizing on Twitter in an attempt to have some consolation with you, but I think that's a mistake. You sound to me like one of these woke idiots. Union said Crews' recent actions have underlined that he was not on her side on the show. Well, he just is a coworker, okay? And he's also black. So, you're kind of undermining your own argument. Like, maybe you got fired because you're not as popular as Terry Crews, which seems to be the most likely thing. I mean, Terry Crews is super popular. Based on his recent actions, do you really think Terry Crews was an ally, was helpful, was a sounding board? Why does he have to be any of those things? He is an actor, a comedic actor, movie star. I don't see why he has to be worried about you nonstop. Why don't you worry about you? Continuing, I think Terry Crews is showing us who he is and what he does during times of adversity, and it's not solidarity. I think you're just jealous of Terry Crews. I think you're jealous that he gets 3 checks and you don't, and you got fired. NBC's investigation, according to the article, concluded that Union was not the victim of discrimination. Wah, wah. More from the article. At the end of the day, the work I am doing to make sure that NBC is more fair and equitable place of employment will benefit you, Crews, as well, Union said. So it's okay to eat your cereal and let me do my thing and get out of the way. If you're not going to help, then get out of the way. If you don't feel financially comfortable or spiritually comfortable, or you flat out disagree, but at the end of the day, he will benefit from a safer, more equitable workplace that I stuck my neck out to do and got fired for, instead of actively working against the progress. I don't see how he is. Again, he's black, you're black. How is that racism? He's on the show. Is it misogyny because you're a woman? Or is it that Terry Crews is popular and you're not? Maybe bitching about your lot in life is not the greatest career move. It's not the way it works out in Hollywood. People get fired all the time. The number one thing in Hollywood is work. Getting and maintaining work. That's it. It's the number one thing. Look, there's an article also in Deadline. Tom Cruise just landed a $200 million deal with some producer, and they're going to do movies. Like, they had to work at it. They didn't just hand it to Tom Cruise. So even Tom Cruise is running around trying to put together deals to continue to work. It's hard. What do you want from us? Oh, but you got to blame that it's all racist. It's all racist. Sounds to me like you're just playing the hand you got, which is a race card. Instead of it's not going to help you. Yeah, okay. So let me get this straight. You force NBC to reluctantly hire you back. You think you're going to work ever again? They'll just hire somebody else. There are other black people in Hollywood. Ones that don't complain that their bosses are racist. And it's not like NBC is any fan of that. I mean, they'll cry to the rafters if there's some racist guy in there. Oh, they'd fire him in a hot minute. You know that. So, looks like their investigation didn't go your way. Well, now you're really screwed, in my view. And then this article is like, Crews said last month that Black Lives Matter may be changing its focus and urged people to remember that they're all children of God. If you are a child of God, then you are my brother and sister. I have family of every race, creed, and ideology, Crews wrote. We must ensure Black Lives Matter doesn't morph into Black Lives Better. Yeah, exactly. Okay? So, it sounds to me like your play to get your job back was a desperate one. And not a good move, in my view. If you're on a TV show and you're the only black person and you get fired, well, maybe you got a case for racism. Maybe. But if there are other black people on the show, how are you going to even make that case? And in this atmosphere, do you think NBC is stupid enough to hire somebody and then fire them just because of their race? I mean, that is really a ridiculous charge in this day and age, in this woke day and age. You know how paranoid these companies are, especially media companies? They're so paranoid of looking racist. They've canceled TV shows, changed the name of products and professional football teams just to placate woke people. So, you know, the idea, oh, there's white supremacy everywhere and I'm fighting for it and Terry Crews doesn't appreciate me. Sounds like you're jealous of Terry Crews. That's my calculation. I mean, you know he's getting 3 checks. And you're not. So, maybe, I don't know. Maybe call your agent up and try to get another gig. You know, it's tough in Hollywood. And to some extent I can feel for people. They work and sometimes they get a great gig and for no fault of their own, they don't get another one ever again. You know, I had a buddy I have 2 friends in college. They both got on major TV shows. And one of them, you know, the show wasn't a hit. It was on for like a season. He got on another show that was kind of a hit. It was kind of already popular. He got on it late. And he worked as an actor, and that's about it. You wouldn't know his name if I said it. And then another guy who I worked with, he was sort of a buddy of mine in college, and we did comedy together. He got on a sitcom, and I'm almost sure Justin Bateman was on it. I'm almost sure it was him. But anyway, the show, and he wasn't bad in it, and he was the funny guy. He was like the weird character on that show. And that show really could have, if that show had taken off, you know, he would have been a big name. He would have been making real money, but it didn't. It didn't even last a season. It was on TV. I saw him, and I saw the show, but you know, it just didn't work out. And you know, he's not working in Hollywood. The other one of them, I think the first guy is probably kind of still working in Hollywood. He still lives in LA, but you know, second guy, I don't even think he lives in LA anymore. And it's very tough. It's a very tough and unforgiving business. You either make it or you don't. You know, there are actors. They were in big hit movies. One big hit movie, and that was it. For whatever reason. You know, there are actors and actresses. They get these big chances, and people tout them. And for like a few months, they're the hottest thing ever. And then for whatever reason, it just doesn't work. The movie flops, or you know, maybe a bad article comes out, or it just doesn't come together. And that's it. They're done. They fade into obscurity, never to be seen again. They don't make any money. They end up, you know, a lot of people, the worst thing is when you make it for a while and then you got to go back to work. Okay? That's tough. That's tough because it's like, you know, everybody thinks you're a millionaire. People used to think I was a millionaire because I made comics. They used to say, do you work at Marvel Comics? They'd see me selling my own comics, and I'm like, no. But they thought I was rich because I made my own comics. Like, wealthy. I had artists who thought, why aren't you paying me hundreds of dollars? I'm like, I don't have hundreds of dollars to pay you. I can barely pay me. And they were convinced I was rich too. So it's a very tough business. So, you know, this might be her last move before she just, her career just disappears. Well, at the sound of the bark, it's time for me to end this video. Little Joe needs something. I will see you next time on your Hollywoke Hot Take.